Hi, I'm Todd Bottger, and I'm a product management director in the database tools team here at Oracle, specializing in Oracle Apex low-code application development in Oracle Cloud. In this session, we'll be talking about cloud-native low-code applications with Oracle Apex in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure and on the Oracle Autonomous Database Service. I'm going to assume that you have a little bit of background with Apex and know a little bit about low-code application development using Apex. If you don't, that's okay. We have other sessions here at CloudWorld introducing the concept of Apex. I'll be focusing on the Apex angle where we have Apex running in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI for short, and really emphasizing what it's like using Apex on our Oracle Autonomous Database Service, or ADB for short. This is the shared infrastructure version of Autonomous Database. So starting with the big picture, why run Oracle Apex in Oracle Cloud in the first place? And if you remember nothing else from this, these are really the three key points that we're just covering right up front. And the first and probably the most important thing is that when you're running Apex with an Oracle database in OCI, or an Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, you get easy access to a whole host of very complementary cloud services and cloud features. And I'm going to go into a little bit of detail on this in a moment, but there's lots of other very complementary services that you can take advantage of for your low-code Apex apps when you're running in the cloud. Secondly, our cloud supports diverse management models. We actually have several cloud services providing Oracle database with Apex, where you can very nicely run Apex. And these different services have different models ranging from full control of the environment, where you're running in a VM and you can do whatever you need with it, to co-managed services such as Oracle Database Service, where we do some things to help you manage the environment and you still have a high degree of control, all the way to autonomous services like Autonomous Database, where this is a fully managed service. We do a lot of things for you in order to free you up to focus really on that low-code application development aspect. So we have different management models. I'm going to be drilling into the model where you're running this on Autonomous Database. We're taking care of a bunch of things for you, and you're focusing on the low-code application development. And this is interesting because we take off the table a lot of routine responsibilities that you normally do have to think about in other environments and in on-premise environments. We do these things for you, things like patching and upgrading and monitoring and tuning. Those are all taken care of for you in an autonomous database with Apex environment so that your low-code developers get more productivity. It improves their productivity because they can focus on what they do best, which is building and deploying low-code apps. So that's the third bullet, ADB with Apex running on it. It's a very nice match for this low-code use case where you have low-code developers looking to do their job and quickly stand up applications. All right, so what are some of the benefits of Apex in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure? What are some of these complementary services? Let me spend a moment kind of highlighting some of these things. On the left, I've listed a couple of them. This is by no means a comprehensive list, but these are some complementary services that people are often using in conjunction with Apex running on Autonomous Database. Things like object storage, where you can stage existing application data and then load it into your apps very fast, fast load capability when you're using OCI object storage. Also with Autonomous Database, you can very easily take full backups of your environment and then restore from backup at any time, and you can keep those backups in low-cost object storage. So that's another touch point with Autonomous Database. So this object storage is something that you may find yourself using along with this environment. Email delivery, another very complementary service. Many Apex applications, in addition to interacting with users through a web-based UI or a web-based user experience, they're also often communicating with end users through channels like email. Your application may send an email for a range of reasons to an application end user. And there's an Apex package that facilitates that called Apex Mail. Many Apex developers use Apex Mail to send emails. When you're in OCI, you can wire that up to the OCI email delivery service very easily. And then the email delivery service that's just there in the cloud serves as your delivery vehicle. Networking. OCI provides a lot of very complementary networking components. Things like load balancers, virtual cloud networks, subnets, fast connects, all kinds of interesting things in OCI from a networking standpoint. And those are often used with Apex running on Autonomous Database to do things like setting up a custom domain name, By default, when you deploy Apex apps running on Autonomous Database, we do it at a default domain name provided by Oracle and using a default Oracle certificate. You can easily override that by configuring a couple of these basic networking building blocks along with your Apex environment. DevOps. OCI has a bunch of very helpful DevOps cloud services. You can easily stand up a cloud-based Git for source control. You can export your Apex application definitions to files and then store those in a cloud-based Git. You can do all kinds of interesting things with the DevOps services. Identity cloud service. So OCI provides very nice identity service. Apex applications themselves support a number of different authentication schemes for your application end users. OAuth, OpenID Connect, those are some of the things that are supported. Also SAML, a whole host of different schemes. When you're running in cloud, you can very easily authenticate your application end users to Oracle's OAuth and OIDC provider or identity cloud service. And we have a number of customers that are doing that. So that's a few touch points in the cloud to Apex running on Autonomous Database. There are others, but that gives you a sense for some of the things that you can do. Also, with Apex running in OCI, you get global availability. OCI has a very expansive footprint worldwide. We're in 39 and growing data center locations all across the globe. There are 11 data centers where there's a very fast interconnect with Microsoft Azure. So if we have customers who are doing certain things in Azure and then running Apex on Autonomous and Oracle Cloud, we can establish a very fast connection between those two things. And then most recently, we've introduced a direct integration with Azure, where you can deploy an Autonomous Database with Apex through a console that looks very much like the familiar Azure console experience. So a very nice integration directly with Azure. We also have some government clouds where we configure and certify for specific government customers who have specific government needs. So some interesting things for government customers. And then regulatory compliance. This is another thing that you essentially get for free when you're running Apex on Autonomous Database in Oracle Cloud. We certify with the common regulations that you probably have heard of, PCI, HIPAA, here in the United States, FedRAMP, and DISA for Department of Defense customers, to name a few. We do a lot of regulatory compliance audits and attestations, and you get that just by virtue of running Apex on Autonomous Database in the cloud. Okay, so now I'm going to drill into Autonomous Database rather particularly. So what are some of the benefits of running Apex on this service? And you do get some unique benefits here. With Autonomous Database, we give you a pre-configured full stack. It's not just Apex, but the database is pre-configured and ready to go as well. It's Oracle Database 19c, our long-term support release of the Oracle Database, Enterprise Edition with options, a very powerful full database offering, stood up as part of the instance that you provision and ready to go right out of the box. And besides database and Apex, you also get Oracle REST data services. This gives you a very nice REST interface to your data and serves as the web relay for Apex. It also provides some complementary web tools that you can use in your browser along with this offering. So pre-configured full stack with all those things ready to go the moment you provision your instance. Autonomous. This is an autonomous offering. So what do we mean by that? Well, it's self-monitoring, self-troubleshooting, self-tuning. These are all things that Oracle takes care of for you that your application developers don't have to worry about. We do all that. We also take care of routine, regular patching and periodic major upgrades. And we'll elaborate on that in a little bit as well. So we take care of those things because it's an autonomous offering and you don't have to worry too much about those and can focus on your application development. It's a very elastic and scalable offering too. You can easily add compute and storage resources to your instance. You can do that with essentially very minimal, essentially no observable application downtime for your application end users. You can add or remove compute or storage at will. And we actually can do that for you as well. So because it's autonomous, we're already monitoring the environment. Oracle will see unforeseen spikes in load, and then we can scale the compute resources for you in response to an unforeseen spike in load. That's called auto scaling. And you can literally check a box and we will scale things for you if you get that sort of spiky behavior. You can elect to have Oracle do that on your behalf. It's a converged environment. Because this is Oracle Database with options, Enterprise Edition, behind the scenes, a very capable converged database platform that's not only great at managing relational data, but also JSON documents, spatial data, graph data. And then because it has Apex, we allow you to expose all that rich data and get more use out of it in your Apex applications, all from one place, all with one common data management platform. It's workload optimized, and I'll speak a little bit more about this in a moment as well, but not only are you getting an instance with all these things included, but it's tuned for specific types of workloads as well. We have flavors of this that are tuned for analytic, transactional, or mixed workloads. So you get something that's tuned for the type of app that you're going to deploy. And then secure. There's a lot to like about security here as well. Many of the security capabilities that customers typically would configure all on their own in an on-premises kind of environment, they're all pre-configured and ready to go for you. Data at rest encryption, TLS encrypted connections, database vault, which helps protect against insider types of threats. Those are all pre-configured and ready to go. Also, you can use data safe. That's included with the offering. That gives you added capabilities for security assessment, sensitive data discovery, data masking, all kinds of added security benefit when you use data safe. So high marks in terms of the security of the environment too. And then here at the bottom of this slide, I've enumerated a couple specific feature functionality things that you get. Not only do we take care of the upgrades, but you have the option to defer upgrades. So if you need some extra time for testing before you take a major upgrade, you have that ability. We take automatic full backups in the environment. You can complement that with your own manual backups, and you can restore very easily from a backup. You can set up full hot standbys of the whole environment with automatic failover as well. We call that autonomous data guard. Behind the scenes, this is all running on Oracle Exadata engineered systems. So we have that Exadata hardware. We have rack configured. This provides very nice availability, reliability, scalability characteristics because we're running on Exadata with rack. It's very easy to clone the entire instance. If you need to clone an instance from a dev environment to a test environment to a production environment, that sort of thing, very easy to clone. A couple other things I mentioned, you do have the ability to stand up your own vanity URLs, use your own certificate. We do provide some defaults, but it's straightforward to override those, and we have some blogs that describe how to do that. And then in terms of pricing, very attractively priced. In fact, you can get significant discounts if you have unused on-premises licenses of Oracle Database with Apex. You can donate those to the cause as you're provisioning instances in the cloud, and you get it at a significant discount. We call that BYOL, or bring your own license. And then lastly, we have some small, always free shapes available of this environment that you can just use for an unlimited time. They give you a great representation of the full feature functionality that you get, except for free. They do have some limitations on the storage and the CPU that are available for free, but they're a great way to get familiar with the service, get comfortable with it, and do some development and do some testing using these free shapes. So those are available to you as well. So some very unique and very distinctive benefits of running Apex specifically on the Autonomous Database service. We have a number of customers who are running on this environment already. I've included some logos at the bottom. This is just a selection, a handful of customers. We have published customer success stories for each of those available at the link below. Some very interesting use cases here for each of these customers. I'd encourage you to go take a look and read a little bit about what they're doing with Apex on Autonomous Database. The use cases are really have a lot of diversity and cover a lot of interesting scenarios. I've listed a couple general things on the left. Scenarios that are they're essentially cloud migrations, where the customer has been happily using Apex in an on-premises environment or perhaps in another cloud, and they're migrating to Oracle Cloud. So we have a number of cloud migrations that you can read about. A number of cloud native builds, where the customer is interested in building and deploying low-code apps natively in the cloud from the get-go, and they're using Autonomous Database to do that. Some scenarios that are extensions to SaaS apps or packaged apps in the cloud, using Apex to extend that capability. And then increasingly low-code transformations, where it's really the concept of low-code apps that is driving the discussion. Customers have heard about low-code, are very interested in Apex, are interested in running Apex on Autonomous Database, but it's really low-code that's driving the discussion, and it's part of a larger digital transformation effort. This is interesting to a whole variety of users and user personas too. Lots of interest from the executive suite, excuse me, from CTOs, CIOs, that type of persona are hearing about low code and interested in low code, and perhaps have heard of Apex, or perhaps have heard of Apex usage already in their business. Apex is often used for line of business apps, so it's frequently something that is of interest to line of business managers. It's a low-code app servicing a specific line of business. Obviously, of interest to development managers and development architects who are thinking about how to get the most from low-code and low-code platforms and low-code applications. We speak to a lot of development managers and dev architects. And then your traditional DBA and database managers as well. This is something that's very interesting. We have many users who are DBAs, who are actually developers as well, because they're standing up low-code applications using Apex. And this is interesting because it expands the scope of the DBA. It gives them more responsibility. And when you're running on autonomous, it relieves you of some of the routine things that DBAs typically don't like to do anyway, applying routine patches and things of that nature. It allows them to focus on higher order, higher value things, such as standing up low-code apps, defining data models for low-code apps, and that sort of thing. So very interesting to the traditional database manager and DBA as well. All right. I mentioned workload optimized instances. So under the autonomous database umbrella, there are a couple specific flavors of this. All of these come with Apex, prepackaged, fully managed, and ready to go. But we have some flavors that are optimized for specific types of workloads. On the left, something called Autonomous Data Warehouse, or ADW, which is optimized for data warehousing and analytic workloads, as the name suggests. So if you have applications that are more analytic type apps in nature, this would be what you're actually provisioning. This would be what you're actually licensing and standing up and provisioning. It would be an ADW instance. On the right, we have something called Autonomous Transaction Processing. This is optimized for those transactional or just mixed workloads. So if you have applications that are more transactional in nature, this is what you'd be licensing, this is what you'd be provisioning, this is what you'd be standing up in the cloud as an instance of ATP. And then more recently, we have released some more specialized versions of ATP focused on very particular use cases. We have a version of ATP called JSON Database, more about the JSON document use case. And then we have a specialized service called Apex Service, which, as the name suggests, it's all about the Apex use case. So it comes with everything you need to build and deploy great Apex applications, but it does omit the SQLnet channel, the SQLnet interface, SQLnet connectivity. And if you're not familiar with it, Oracle Net Services or SQLnet, this is what is used to interact with the whole ecosystem of Oracle database clients that are out there. Oracle and third-party provided BI tools, language drivers for just about every language under the sun, whether it's Java or Python or Go or what language drivers. Those all are interacting over SQLnet connectivity. And in this case, because we're focusing on the Apex low-code app use case, we've turned off that SQLnet interface. But in exchange for turning that off, we're able to offer the specialized service at a much lower price. So this is the low-priced specialized Apex service. We have built some very nice upgrade paths. If you start with a specialized service and find later that you want to upgrade to the full ATP service, from the standpoint of the customer or the end user, it essentially looks like an in-place upgrade. There's no data loss. We're essentially upgrading, and we've got it down to almost a single click now, and we can upgrade you directly from a specialized service to the full paid transaction processing service. Very simple, very straightforward. And we have small, always free shapes of each of these four. So there's a small, always free shape of Apex service, a small, always free shape of ATP, and the others as well. That's a great way to get started, to experiment, to evaluate, see how you like it. And when it comes time to upgrade from free to paid, there's a similar, very simple upgrade path that essentially looks like an in-place upgrade. Preserves all your data and takes you from free to paid very easily. So these are the actual instances that these are the actual services or SKUs, licenses. These are the actual things that you would be provisioning with Apex if you want to use Autonomous Database in Oracle Cloud. And now I'm going to change gears and take a couple of minutes to actually show you this. I'm doing this by way of screenshots because we have limited time. It's a little faster. But I wanted to show you a view of the OCI console. This is the web-based console in my browser. You can see here I've got a couple of autonomous database instances with Apex already provisioned and ready to go. A couple of them are small, always free shapes. A couple of them are the full scalable paid shapes. Two of them are the ATP workload type, and two of them are the specialized Apex service workload type. And you can see that in this column right here. They all come with Apex prepackaged, fully managed, and ready to go. So you get a listing of what you have. And I'm going to drill into one of them, SBX4, Sandbox 4. This is an ATP instance offering Apex, just to give you a look at all the information you get and the things that you can do with this instance. So this is the details page for that instance. And on the left, you can see helpful information about the autonomous database. How many CPUs are provisioned for it? How much storage is provisioned for it? What's the workload type? On the right, you can see all kinds of other helpful information. Here you can see when the last automatic backup was taken. You can see what's the patch level, when's the next patch window, when patching is going to occur. All kinds of helpful information here on the right. If I click on More Actions, this button up at the top, this is where I can do key operations on the instance. I can stop it, start it, restart it. I can very easily create a clone of the entire instance. And that clone will include my apps, my Apex apps, and all my app data. So very easy to clone. I want to draw your attention here on the bottom left, this little link. So this detail screen that we're looking at right now shows you a more database-centric view of the world, all the database information and database details. If I click on the link at the bottom left, I get a more Apex-centric view of the world where it shows me all the details that are relevant to Apex specifically. I can see the exact Apex version number. I can see the ORDS version number. Down here, I can see metrics that show me what's going on with Apex, how many Apex page events or page loads are occurring. This shows me, pages being rendered by my app, how many active applications I have. And down here at the bottom, this is a little bit clipped off, but the average page load time for my pages that are being rendered by Apex. And if I click up here on the Launch Apex button, this takes me directly into the Apex environment. So this, if you're familiar with Apex, this will be very familiar, right? This is where your developers go to actually build and deploy their low-code apps. This is the sign-in for a developer. And because it's running on Autonomous Database, by default, I get a URL that looks like this. It's on the oraclecloudapps.com domain by default, using an Oracle certificate by default. I can give this URL to my developers. This is what I would distribute to my developers. This is what they would need to do their job. And of course, I can configure it to override this and use my own domain name and my own certificate if I wish. Once I'm signed in, again, I get a very familiar experience. This is the Apex experience that you would see with an on-premises database, with App Builder, a SQL workshop. You can see here I've got one app up and running called Projects, Top Apps. I've got a Projects app. This is a low-code app actually up and running, provided by Apex. And if I go to that app, this is the experience that the end user would get. So if I'm an application end user, this is the sort of thing I would see. I would be signing into an app called Projects and using an app called Projects. And at the top, this is the URL that you would distribute to application end users. This is the default URL, again, running on the default domain, oraclecloudapps.com /org/r/demo. That's the name of the schema, the database schema. And then /projects. That's the application alias or name of the application that you specify as part of the app. So this is the URL that you would distribute to application end users. And again, you can override that to use your own domain name and your own certificate if you like. Okay, so that's a really quick demo. Now, as we start to wind down here, I want to talk a little bit more about this autonomous patching and upgrades. Now, Oracle takes care of all routine database and Apex patching for you. We do that pretty frequently, typically on a monthly basis, maybe more frequently. And this is largely transparent to you. You don't know that patching is occurring. You can have some visibility to it in that detail screen where you see the patching and maintenance windows. But for the most part, we're taking care of this for you, and it's transparent to your applications and your application end users. Now, database upgrades, on the other hand, every couple of years, Oracle does a major database upgrade to a long-term support release. And when we do that, we give you a long window, a multi-month window, where you can look at the new database version that's coming, experiment with it. You can clone your instance, let the clone upgrade and experiment with the new database in the clone. And then when you're ready, go back and take it in the original instance. And you've got a long window to do that, multi-month window to do that. or you can just wait to the end of the window and we will auto upgrade the database for you. So right now we're on 19C. That's the current long-term support release of Oracle database. The next time we do a major database upgrade will probably be to 23C. So that's coming up in the not too distant future. And we do banner communications. We notify you that this is coming, and you have plenty of opportunity to look at it and test it before you take it. When you do take it, it happens largely behind the scenes on an autonomous basis. Apex is a very similar story, except we do major upgrades of Apex a little more frequently. We do that typically 2 times per year. And we give you advanced warning, advanced notification, email notifications that an upgrade of Apex is coming. We also provide notifications to low-code developers who are actually working in the Apex environment. So they can see to save off their work. They know that one of these twice per year upgrades is coming soon. We provide all kinds of notifications so that you know this is coming soon. When the upgrade actually does occur, it actually does happen, there's typically less than 5 minutes of downtime. And we continue to improve that release to release. We've got it down to less than 5 minutes now. So less than 5 minutes twice per year to take these Apex upgrades. You do have the ability to defer an upgrade. So right now, as things stand, there's a setting you can click in Apex, in the Apex Administration Services, to optionally defer the upgrade by up to 45 days. That gives you some extra time to clone the environment, let your clone upgrade, test your apps in the clone, and then go back to your original and take the upgrade whenever you're ready. Going forward, and this is why it's labeled new, we're going to tweak that a little bit. So you don't have to opt in or elect specifically to get the deferral time. We're going to give everyone 45 days of deferral. So that is coming soon, where everyone will get a 45-day deferral period to test before Apex is upgraded. And then for paying customers, you'll have an opt-in option to get even more time and get up to 90 days of deferral time to do application testing and so forth before you actually take the upgrade. So keep an eye out for that. That's coming soon. And then also there's a URL here at the bottom. Keep an eye on this page. This is where we post notifications to the world on a web page about upgrades that are coming for Apex. A couple other things on the roadmap. We anticipate doing an upgrade of Apex on Autonomous Database 2 more times in the next 12 months to Apex 22.2 and to Apex 23.1. So we will probably, within the next year time frame, you will likely see 2 more upgrades coming per this standard twice per year cadence. We're going to tweak the upgrade process a little bit so it's more simultaneous. In the past, there was some delay between the availability of the on-premises install and on-premises download and the actual upgrade of Apex on Autonomous. It would be available for download, and then a month or 2 later, it would be in Autonomous Database. We're going to tweak that going forward, so keep an eye out for this so they're more simultaneous. The on-premises download is available at the same time as Apex is upgraded in Autonomous. So keep an eye out for that. We've got some things coming there. We're going to do some additional direct cloud service integrations, code level integrations between Apex and OCI. And we're going to continue enabling more Apex capabilities on Autonomous Database. This is a quick look at the pricing and packaging. These are starting prices for 1 OCPU, which provides 2 execution threads and 1 terabyte of storage for the different flavors of Autonomous Database. And you can see the specialized services are a little bit less expensive in exchange for focusing on those more specialized use cases. You do get significant discounts for bring your own license. And we do have some always free shapes available for each of these things that you can start with. Also, I want to point out that unlike other low-code vendors in the cloud, we do not charge you per app, per developer, or per end user. The cost components are just the compute and the storage. So as many apps as you like, as many end users as you like, given the compute and the storage that you've provisioned. We don't charge you for the included ORDS middle tier, and also data transfer going in and out of the service. That is also included at no extra cost. Here's a couple links where you can go to get more information. Take a look at oracle.com and our central site for all things Apex, which is available at apex.oracle.com. Lastly, I want to mention some blogging that we in the PM team, the product management team, have been doing recently. We have a great blog all about Apex, available at blogs.oracle.com. And we recently inaugurated a whole blog series that dwells and drills into specifically Apex on Autonomous Database. And I put the link to that here on the right. So that's a great source for tips, tricks, general information all about Apex running on Autonomous. With that, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you learned some things that will be helpful to you as you consider low-code Oracle Apex apps running on Oracle Autonomous Database. Thank you.